Now, when it comes to the theatrically released feature films, Looney Tunes hasn't really had the best of luck so far, with critics generally being unimpressed with them and audiences having mixed reactions at best. And though I can only speak for myself in this instance, as a lifelong Looney Tunes fan, I have to say that their 2003 movie, Looney Tunes Back in Action, is the best of the three movies released thus far. Now, maybe, and even hopefully, future movies with them will be better, and in time this video will be irrelevant. But at this particular point, I feel that Back in Action was the truest depiction of the Looney Tunes put on screen, and will explain why it is I feel that way. But before I get into it, I would just like to warn you that there will be spoilers ahead, so if you don't want anything ruined, I suggest you click off this video. This is the only time you will be warned. Okay, so to start off with some background, after the release of Space Jam, which was a huge financial success, if not a critical one, Warner Brothers was anxious to do another movie starring the Looney Tunes in order to capitalize on its popularity. However, ideas kept falling through, and there were major subsections of the Looney Tunes fan base that felt Space Jam was an extremely inaccurate depiction of them and wanted something closer to the original shorts. Then director Joe Dante, perhaps most famous for directing Gremlins, came along volunteering to do the movie, which was to star Jackie Chan and be called Spy Jam. However, when Chan dropped out, Dante opted to do the movie anyway because he was one of those people who wanted to see a more accurate movie starring the Looney Tunes, and even went as far as to consult veteran Looney Tunes animator and director Chuck Jones a few times before he died to get a better idea as to what the movie should look like. However, constant studio interference caused the script to be rewritten over 100 times, and in the end, the movie was hated by critics and flopped at the box office. However, I would still say that when you really look at it, Dante achieved what he had set out to do. Now keep in mind, as I mentioned in previous videos, I actually liked Space Jam and feel that it perfectly does what it sets out to do. However, I feel that this is the true Looney Tunes movie. Sure, by normal standards it probably wouldn't be that good, but by Looney Tunes standards, I might even go as far as to say that it's almost perfect. Now, you are free to disagree with that, but that's personally how I feel, and there are a couple of reasons for that. And the first of those is the Looney Tunes themselves. Now, as others have pointed out, all of the different characters were created to star in separate shorts, and all of them were never meant to interact together. Now again, Space Jam does try to get around this by establishing a threat that forces them to team up, and for a movie like that, I'd say that was a good enough excuse. This movie, however, stays much truer to that, because they did the smart thing by having Bugs and Daffy, perhaps the most famous Looney Tunes ever, be the only constant ones throughout the film. The rest only show up in situations that would be appropriate for them to. Having Granny as a friendly neighbor that's oblivious to Sylvester and Tweety's feud, Foghorn Leghorn as a dealer in a casino, Pepe Le Pew as a French tour guide, and many others are all put in exactly the kind of situations that fit their personalities and have limited or no other interactions with the other Looney Tunes. And this extends to the villainous ones as well, all of whom are working for the head bad guy and show up at different points to try and stop the heroes. Yosemite Sam in the casino, Elmer Fudd in Paris, the Tasmanian Devil when they get desperate, Marvin the Martian in space for the climax, and Wile E. Coyote in the desert, and driving the train meant for Damian Drake, all the while taking extreme punishment at every turn. The movie manages to fit them all in and makes each situation appropriate for their type of comedy. And then there's Bugs and Daffy themselves, but I like to get back to them later. Now, another thing this movie gets right is the tone. It's really the kind of thing one should think of when imagining what a Looney Tunes movie would look like, especially with one that promises action like the title implies. Because when you really look at it, the whole thing is absolutely absurd, and that's exactly what it should be. Whether it's the Area 52 scene, the bizarre double chase in Paris, the reveal that the villains disguise themselves as Granny, or even just the general motivation of wanting to turn everyone into monkeys. It really makes no sense, but also completely fits in with Looney Tunes' brand of slapstick. But at the same time, it also manages to feel big enough that you really do feel like you're going on an adventure with Bugs and Daffy, and in the end mostly does deliver on that front. Now again, I can only speak for myself when I say this, but every time I hear Daffy say, "From now on I'm gonna live the adventure," I always get excited and can't help but feel that he's right. In other words, I'd say that for an absurdist parody of action movies, it somehow manages to be better than almost every real action movie we've gotten in the past 20 years. Note, almost. And finally, there's the humor. Now let me just save time by saying it nails it. This movie gets Looney Tunes humor and makes the most of every opportunity. And there's also the casting. Seriously, Steve Martin as a completely over the top Looney Tunes villain, the casting department really deserved a raise for that one. Especially when you know that Martin enjoyed himself so much that he remained in character even when they weren't filming. And others, such as Joan Cusack as the head lab scientist, or Timothy Dalton playing a parody of James Bond as Damian Drake, are all hilarious and know exactly how to play their parts. Heck, even Brendan Fraser and Gina Elfman seem to be enjoying themselves, and are the perfect combination of playing the whole thing straight while also going appropriately over the top. In other words, what makes the acting so good is that everybody knows exactly what kind of movie they're in and are playing their parts accordingly. Nobody's trying to win an Oscar and instead plays almost everything for a joke, which is exactly what you'd expect a Looney Tunes movie to do. And that's not even getting into the voice cast, which as usual knocks it out of the park. Seriously, it's a shame Joe Astley didn't get to voice these characters more, because I might just have to agree with the many people who said that he was the best voice for them after Mel Blanc himself. And finally, there's Bugs and Daffy. They're the two cartoon leads of the movie, and it does them both perfectly. Bugs is the perfect combination of smart aleck and sarcastic, but at the same time genuinely well-meaning and won't let any bad guys hurt innocent people or turn the entire world into monkeys on his watch. And Daffy is also a brilliant combination of his wacky and more selfish personas, creating a character that we all know and love, while at the same time giving us somebody we can genuinely feel sorry and root for. Because it's in him that the movie really shines. Sure, his funny interactions with Bugs are great, but at the same time, there's a slight melancholy running throughout them as it explores just how much of a punching bag he really is. And that, right there, is where this movie succeeds, where Space Jam: A New Legacy failed. Because unlike that movie, which tries to shove a melodramatic family drama down your throat at every opportunity in a Looney Tunes movie, This movie doesn't do that. Instead, as I said before, almost everything is played for a joke, and most certainly doesn't take itself too seriously, and even subverts some of the few serious moments for a joke, which, as I've already noted, is what a Looney Tunes movie should do. In this case, however, it only serves to make the very few emotional moments work. Like at the end, when Damien is able to save his father's life from the train, you just can't help but feel a bit of relief for them. Or earlier, when he sees his father being attacked by random people on the TV, you can feel the fear and confusion that's going through his mind at that moment. But where this works best is with, surprisingly enough, Daffy Duck himself. Because his status as the one nobody respects isn't actually played as a joke this time, nor is Bugs being the sole one to stick up for him. But the important thing is, at no point is either one of them acting out of character. Daffy may be a bit of a self-obsessed jerk at times, but when you take as much punishment as he does and gets no respect on top of it, who can really blame him? And that's exactly how the movie plays it. And at the same time, though Bugs has had his fair share of adversity with Daffy, it was always all in good fun, at least from his perspective. And so you can buy the fact that he would stick up for him if he thought somebody went too far, as he's been shown to do plenty of times with other people in the classic shorts. And though most of their interactions are still funny, certain lines just do manage to hit close to a nerve. Especially Daffy's borderline heartbreaking, "Why am I even talking to you? All you have to do is munch on a carrot and people love you." It just highlights right there how hard Daffy's role really is, and that Bugs can never truly understand how he feels, no matter how much he wants to. And the fact that the movie gets you to actually feel the impact of that line, punctuated by Bugs's genuine reaction to it, only highlights what this one did right that A New Legacy did wrong. The point is, it's an absurd spy parody, but the very few times it wants you to feel something, it delivers. And that's not even getting into the ending, because for once, Daffy actually manages to save the world and Bugs, and the movie doesn't subvert it for a joke and plays it completely straight. Especially that moment where he catches Bugs, who delivers a sheepish but grateful, thanks, Daff, who then smiles at the camera. I mean, this movie manages to make you feel genuinely happy for Daffy Duck and gives him a real moment to shine without pulling the rug out from under him. Of course, what helps is that he does it because it's the right thing to do rather than for the fame and glory, which only serves to make his triumph even better and emphasize that he deserved it. He's not coming back expecting glory and to be showered with fame and fortune. He saved the world because he knew at that point he was the only one who could save it. And that's another thing this movie does right. Not let the human characters overshadow the Looney Tunes at the climax. Because Damien's side of things is on a much smaller, though more personal, level, while it's Daffy, with some help from Bugs, that actually saves the day. But my point is, perhaps the one totally serious thing this movie sets out to do is show the audience how hard Daffy Duck's job can be, and make us feel happy for him when he finally overcomes it. And if you ask me, it most certainly succeeds in that regard. But remember, you don't have to agree with any of this if you don't want to. You are still free to have any opinion of this movie you want. I'm just trying to point out why I believe this movie to be the best when it comes to the three starring the Looney Tunes. But I will concede that yes, This movie and everything I've just listed about it will mean a lot more to Looney Tunes fans than regular people, which may partially explain its reception and lasting legacy. But as a Looney Tunes fan myself, I just feel that this is as close to a perfect Looney Tunes movie that we've gotten so far. And I'm sure many others, are happy for its existence, even if some wouldn't believe that. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to say. So now I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think that Looney Tunes Back in Action is the best and most faithful representation of the Looney Tunes put on film? Or do you believe that it's not very good and doesn't deserve that distinction? Please feel free to discuss your thoughts in the comments. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate all your support, and I hope to see you all next time.